Augie and Me, the Shingling chapter. How Mrs. Antanaby introduced her dance. Okay, ladies, said Mrs. Antanaby, clapping her hands and motioning for us to walk towards her. Everybody on the dance floor, please. Take your positions. Everybody spread out. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you a couple of different dances from the 60s that I'd like you to try. The twist, the Hully Gully, the mambo. Just those three. Sound good? I had taken up a position behind Summer, who smiled and waved one of her cute, happy hellos at me. When I was little and still into flower fairies, I used to think that Summer Dawson looked exactly like Lavender Fairy. Like she should have been born with violet wings. Since when have you been into dance? I asked her, because she had never been one of the girls I'd seen at dance recitals. Summer shrugged shyly. I started taking classes this summer. Sweet, I answered, smiling encouragingly. Mrs. Antanaby, Zima raised her hand. What is this audition even for? Oh my goodness, answered Mrs. Antanaby, tapping her forehead with her fingers. Of course, I completely forgot to tell you guys what we're doing here. I personally have always loved Mrs. Antanaby with her long flowy dresses and scarves and the messy bun. I love that she always has the breathless appearance of someone who's just come back from a great journey. I like that. But a lot of people think she's flaky and weird. The way she throws her head back when she laughs, the way she mumbles to herself sometimes. People have said she looks exactly like Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob SquarePants. They call her Mrs. Fat Tanaby behind her back, which I think is incredibly mean. I've been asked to put together a dance piece to perform at the Beecher Prep Benefit Gala, she started explaining, which is in mid-March. It's not a performance that other students will ever see. It's for the parents, faculty, and alumni. But it's kind of a big deal. They're having it at Carnegie Hall this year. Everyone made little excited chirpy sounds. Mrs. Antanaby laughed. I thought you'd all like that, she said. I'm adapting a piece I choreographed years ago, which had gotten considerable attention at the time. I don't mind saying, and it should be a lot of fun. But it will take plenty of work, which reminds me, if you're chosen for this dance, it will require a big time commitment. I want to be clear about that right from the start, ladies. 90 minutes of rehearsal after school, 3 days a week. From now through March. So if you can't commit to that, don't even try out, okay? But what if we have soccer practice? Asked Ruby in the middle of a plie. Ladies, sometimes in your life you have to choose, Mrs. Antanaby answered. You can't have soccer practice and be in this dance. It's as simple as that. I don't want to hear any excuses about homework assignments or tests or anything else. Even one missed rehearsal is too much. Remember, this is not something you're required to do for school. You don't have to be here, girls. You won't be getting extra credit. If the appeal of dancing on one of the world's most famous stages isn't enough for you, then please don't try out. She extended her arm all the way and pointed to the exit. I won't take it personally. We all looked at each other. Ruby and Jacqueline both smiled apologetically at Mrs. Antanaby, waved goodbye, and left. I couldn't believe anyone would do that. To give up the chance to dance at Carnegie Hall? That's as famous as Broadway. Mrs. Antanaby blinked but didn't say anything. Then she rubbed her head like she was warding off a headache. One last thing, she said. If you're not selected for this particular routine, please remember there's still the big dance number in the spring variety show, and everyone can dance in that. So if you don't make this performance, please don't have your mom email me. There are only spots for 3 girls. Only 3? Cried Ellie, covering her mouth with her hand. Yes, only 3. Mrs. Antanaby responded, sounding exactly like Mrs. Puff sounds when she says, "Oh, SpongeBob." I knew what Ellie was thinking. Please let it be me, Zima, and Savannah. But even as she wished that, she probably knew it wasn't going to work out that way. The thing is, everybody knows that Zima is the best dancer in the whole school. She got selected for the summer intensives at the School of American Ballet. She's at that level. so it was a pretty safe bet that Zima would make it in. And everyone knows that Savannah made the finals in 2 different regionals last year and had come close to placing at a national. So there was a good chance that she would make it in. And everyone knows that, well, not to brag, but dance is kind of my thing. I have a bunch of huge trophies on my shelf to prove it. Ellie, though, sorry, but she's just not in the same league as either Zima or Savannah or me. Sure, she's been into dance all these years, but she's always been kind of lazy about it. I don't know. Maybe if there were room for 4 girls, but if there can only be 3, not her. Nope, it seemed pretty clear as I looked around the room at the competition. The final 3 would be Zima, Savannah, and me. Sorry, Ellie. And maybe, just maybe, this would be my chance to finally work my way into the Savannah group, once and for all. I could go back to having Ellie as my best friend. Savannah could have Zima, and it could all work out. The twist, the hully-gully, and the mambo. Got it. How to use Venn diagrams, part 2. In middle school, your lunch table group isn't always the same as your friend group. Like, it's very possible, in fact, it's probable, that you may end up sitting at a lunch table with a bunch of girls that you're friends with, but who aren't necessarily your friends. How you ended up at that table is completely random. Maybe there wasn't enough room at the table with the girls you really wanted to sit with. Or maybe you just happened to end up with a group of girls because the class you had right before lunch. That's actually what happened to me. On the first day of school, Maya, Megan, Lena, Rand, Summer, Ellie, and I were all in Mrs. Patusa's advanced math class together. When the lunch bell rang, we flew down the stairs in a big huddle, not knowing exactly how to get to the cafeteria. When we finally did find it, we all just sat down at a table in a pack. It was like we were playing musical chairs, with everyone scrambling to get a seat. There were actually only supposed to be 6 kids at a table, but the 7 of us squeezed in and made it work. At first, I thought it was the greatest table in the whole lunchroom. I was sitting between Ellie and my best friend from first grade and Maya, my other best friend from lower school. I was sitting directly across from Summer and Megan, both of whom I knew from lower school too, even if we weren't necessarily good friends. And I knew Lena from Beecher Prep's summer camp program. The only person I didn't know at all was Rand, and she seemed nice enough. So, all in all, it looked like a totally awesome lunch table. But then, that first day, Summer switched tables to go sit with Augie Pullman. It was so shocking. One second, we were all sitting there, talking about him, watching him eat his lunch. Lena said something really mean that I won't repeat. And the next second, Summer, without saying anything to anyone, just picked up her lunch tray and walked over to him. It was so unexpected. Lena, I remember, looked like she was watching a car accident. "Stop staring," I said to her. "I can't believe she's eating with him," she whispered, horrified. "It's not that big a deal," I said, rolling my eyes. "Then why aren't you having lunch with him?" she answered. "Aren't you supposed to be his welcome buddy?" "That doesn't mean I have to sit with him at lunch," I answered quickly, regretting that I told anyone that Mr. Tushman had chosen me to be Augie's welcome buddy. Yes, it was an honor that he had asked me, along with Julian and Jack, but I didn't want anyone throwing it in my face. All around the cafeteria, people were doing the exact same thing we were doing at our lunch table, staring at Augie and Summer eating together. We were literally only a few hours into middle school, but people had already started calling him Zombie Kid and Freak. Beauty and the Freak. That's what people were whispering about Summer and Augie. No way was I going to have people whisper stuff behind my back, too. "Besides," I said to Lena, taking a bite of my Caesar salad, "I like this table. I don't want to switch." And that was true. I did like this table. At least, at first I did. But then, as I got to know everyone a little better, I realized that maybe I didn't have as much in common with them as I would have liked. It turned out that Lena, Megan, and Rand were all super into sports. Maya played soccer, but that was all. So there was this whole world of soccer games and swim meets and away games that Ellie and I really couldn't talk about to them. Another thing is that they had all chosen to be an orchestra, while Ellie and Charlotte had chosen chorus. And the last thing, very simply, was that they weren't into a lot of stuff that we were into. They never watched The Voice or American Idol. They weren't into movie stars or old movies. They had never seen Les Miserables. For crying out loud. I mean, how could I have had a serious friendship with someone who has never had interest in seeing Les Mis? But as long as I had Ellie to talk to, with Maya there to round us out, everything was totally fine by me. The three of us would chat about the stuff we wanted to talk about on our side of the table. And Megan, Lena, and Rand would chat about the stuff they wanted to talk about on their side of the table. And then we'd all catch up about the stuff we had in common. Schoolwork, homework, teachers, tests, bad cafeteria food in the middle of the table. Which is why everything was good until Ellie switched tables. And now it's just me and Maya. And Maya, who was only really fun to talk to when Ellie was there. Or if you want to play a rousing game of dots. Look, I'm not mad at Ellie for switching tables. I honestly don't blame her. Ever since we heard that Amos had a crush on her, it was like she'd gotten a free pass into the popular group. Savannah had asked her to sit with them at lunch, and then arranged it so Amos and Ellie could sit next to each other. That's how all the couples in the grade got together. Zima and Miles, Savannah and Henry, and now Amos and Ellie, in arranged group huddles. The popular boys and popular girls. It was natural they'd all want to stick together. Nobody else in our grade is dating or even close to dating. I know for a fact that the girls in my lunch table still act like boys have cooties. And from what I can tell, most of the boys act like the girls don't exist. So yeah, I totally get why Ellie switched lunch tables. I really do. And I'm not about to be super mad at her, like Maya is. It's hard when you've been invited to a better lunch table. There's kind of no looking back. All I can do is sit and wait, talk to Maya, and hope that Savannah will ask me to join them at the popular table someday. And in the meantime, I draw Venn diagrams and play lots and lots of dots. How a new subgroup was formed. The next day, right before lunch, this note was tacked to the announcement board outside of the library. Congratulations to the girls listed below. You've been chosen to participate in Mrs. Aunt Tabby's 1960s dance performance. I've posted a rehearsal schedule on the website. Mark your calendars. No absences, no excuses. Our first rehearsal is tomorrow at 4 in the performance space. Do not dare to be late. Mrs. Aunt Tabby. Zima Chin, Charlotte Cody, Summer Dawson. Oh my god, I got in! Yay! I was so happy when I read my name on the list. Overjoyed, ecstatic. Woohoo! So it was me, Zima, and Summer. What? Summer? That was such a surprise. I was so positively sure it was going to be Savannah. I mean, Summer had just started taking dance. Did she really beat out Savannah? Oh boy, I could only imagine how mad Summer was at that. I bet her ooh frown stretched clear across her face when she saw the list. And Ellie? Actually, I bet Ellie was somewhat relieved. She would have had a hard time keeping up with Zima and Savannah. And Ellie never really loved dancing that much. I was always kind of thought she was only into it because I'd been into it. I was happy it worked out for her this way. I mean, she might not act like it, but she's still my BFF. And I was happy for me too, because even though I was hoping to get a bit closer to the Savannah group, I had also been a little stressed, wondering if the Savannah and Zima pairing would have iced me out. But having Summer in the group along with Zima, that was going to be awesome. Maybe the combined power of Summer's niceness and my niceness would turn Zima into one of us. At the very least, it might keep her from being the mean girl everyone seems to think that she is. Not that I think she's a mean girl. In fact, I barely know her. Either way, having Summer be the third girl in the dance made me so happy. I couldn't stop smiling all day.